Deep beneath the prosperity of Al-Andalus, the embers of resistance still burned. In the rugged mountains of the north, Christian lords refused to submit. One lord by the name Pelayo would light the first spark of what would become the Reconquista. Far to the north, beyond the reach of the caliph's armies, lay a land of rugged mountains and deep forests. It was here, in the wild heart of Asturias, that a lone resistance would take root. And at its head was a man who refused to surrender. A former noble and warrior of the Visigothic court, Pelayo had seen the destruction of his people firsthand. He fled north, gathering exiled Visigoths and Asturian tribesmen who refused to accept Muslim rule. To them, he was not just a leader, he was the last hope of a lost kingdom. In 718, Pelayo and his followers took refuge in the mountains, launching small raids against Umayyad garrisons. At first, the Muslims saw them as little more than bandits, but Pelayo was no mere outlaw. He had a plan. The Umayyads, eager to crush this defiance, sent an army to wipe them out. But the mountains favored the defenders. At the Battle of Covadonga, 722 AD, Pelayo's warriors struck from the cliffs, raining arrows and stones on the advancing Muslim troops. The narrow pass became a trap. When the Umayyads tried to flee, the Asturians chased them down, cutting them apart. It was a small battle, a mere skirmish in the eyes of history, but it was the first Christian victory against Muslim forces in Iberia. And more importantly, it proved one thing: the invaders were not invincible. This was the birth of the Kingdom of Asturias, the first Christian stronghold in what would become the Reconquista. The Reconquista was not a single war. It was a struggle that spanned nearly 800 years, a war of generations. From the mountains of Asturias, Christian forces slowly pushed south. New kingdoms emerged: León, Castile, Navarre, and Aragon, each fighting to reclaim Iberia from Muslim rule. Victories and defeats came in waves. For every city the Christians reclaimed, the Muslims struck back. Alliances were made and broken. El Cid, the legendary warrior, fought both for and against Muslim rulers, his sword carving his own legend into history. But the turning point came in 1212 AD, at the Battle of Las Navas de Tolosa. United under a common cause, Christian kingdoms dealt a devastating blow to the Almohad Caliphate. The victory shattered Muslim power in Iberia. From this moment on, the Reconquista gained momentum. One by one, Muslim strongholds fell: Córdoba in 1236, Seville in 1248. By the late 1400s, only one Muslim kingdom remained: Granada. While war raged on, Christian kingdoms in the north fought among themselves. But in 1469, a union changed everything. Isabella of Castile and Ferdinand of Aragon, a queen and a king, united not just by love but by destiny. Together they forged a new kingdom, combining the two most powerful realms of Iberia. Castile and Aragon were now one, laying the foundation for what we call Spain today. And they had one final goal: to end the Reconquista once and for all. For centuries, Granada had stood as the last bastion of Al-Andalus. The Nasrid dynasty ruled over a kingdom of poets, scholars, and warriors, clinging to what remained of Muslim Spain. But Isabella and Ferdinand had come to finish what Pelayo had started centuries before. For 8 months, the siege raged. The defenders fought with desperate courage, but they were outmatched. In January 1492, the last Sultan of Granada, Boabdil, surrendered the keys to the city. The Reconquista was over. After 781 years, Christian rule had returned to all of Iberia. After nearly 8 centuries, the Reconquista had ended. Spain was united. But even as the dust settled over Iberia, a new horizon called. With Iberia reclaimed, Spain's warriors and rulers turned their gaze outward. Across the vast Atlantic lay untold riches, new lands, and empires yet unknown. The conquest of Spain had ended, but a new conquest was about to begin.